and emerging. Item 3 is announcements from the presiding member, and there are none this evening. Item 4 is attendance. Councillor Sutherland is an apology this evening, and all other councillors are present in the chamber. Applications for leave of absence. Anyone like to apply? No? Okay. Item 5 is disclosures of interest. Anyone have anything to disclose? Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just for item 10.3.5, Hillcrest Reserve Facility Needs Assessment. It's an impartial interest. I'm a member of the Bayswater Morley Districts Cricket Club, who both gave a deputation last week and is also mentioned in the report. As it is impartial, I'll be staying in the room.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Loiacono.
Thank you. Just in relation to 10.3.5, Hillcrest Reserve Facility Needs Assessment, I am familiar with a number of the members of Bayswater Morley District Cricket Club, and one of the deputies who has submitted a written deputation is known to me. It's impartial and I will stay in the room.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? Okay. So we move on to item 6, which is public question time. So, councillors, the City has received questions in writing from 7 members of the public this evening. The questions and responses are listed in your run sheet, and I will take those as read. The questions and responses are also available on the City's website and will be provided in the minutes for this meeting. So, members of the gallery, I'll first call for questions on items on this evening's agenda, and then I will open to questions on items not on the agenda. Please provide your name and suburb before you ask your question, and keep in mind that you are limited to 3 questions. So would anyone like to come up and ask a question? I'll just get the microphone turned on.
Matt Duxbury, 110 Stone Street in Bayswater. In the GHD report for the intersection there, the street signalisation...
Is this an item on the agenda?
Probably not, is it? No.
No. Sorry. Do you mind?
I can do that.
We'll just see if there's anyone who's got questions on the agenda, and then we'll come back. Please come forward.
Hello, my name is Phil Wild and I live on Georgina Street, and I'm here to ask 3 questions which I have pre-submitted on item 10.3.1, which is the traffic issue on Georgina Street in Bayswater.
Go ahead.
Are you ready to go? All right, so my question 1, the infrastructure and assets report for this item identifies a foreseeable safety risk and notes that the current site distances are at the minimum standard for compliance. Does the council believe it has a responsibility to prioritise these documented engineered safety requirements over resident preferences for parking convenience?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the Director to respond.
Through the Chair, probably first thing I probably should mention about parking along that street is that under the Road Traffic Code 2000, every driver has a responsibility to park safely on roads. So even in situations with a crest on the road, they need to park safely so they don't obstruct or create a safety risk to another motorist or other users of the road. But having said that, we still have an obligation when a matter is raised with us in terms of a safety issue, we'll go and have a look at it, and that's what we've done in this particular case. When we have a risk identified like we have on that particular road, we will address it, and we will give it more priority than, say, someone's preference in terms of parking. So we will follow the proper processes, and that's what we're actually doing in this particular case. The matter is brought before council because it was a petition that was tabled at a council meeting, so that means that as officers we need to bring that report to council for further deliberation by council.
Okay, thank you. My question 2 was on timeline. The technical assessment confirms that the current 3.3 metre trafficable width is insufficient for two-way movement and emergency vehicle access, creating what the City describes as an ongoing safety risk. If the Council resolves to delay a decision for further investigation, what is the maximum timeframe the City considers acceptable to leave this documented hazard unmitigated before the risk to road users and the City's own liability becomes untenable?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the Director to respond.
Through the Chair, so There's no statutory timeframe that's put to these types of solutions and treatments that we're looking into. But having said that, we still need to act within the reasonable timeframe. That's also driven by the level of risk that's attached to the issue. So in this particular case, if there is any further delays or anything that holds it up slightly, we do continue to patrol the area. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, under the Road Traffic Code, there is obligations that drivers need to follow. So if we did patrols in the area, we'd also remind the drivers or those owners of those vehicles that they have obligations to ensure that the road's safe in the meantime. But having said that, we'll try to expedite the matter as quickly as possible.
Thank you. And my last question. If the subsequent round of investigation and consultation results in a safety compliant design that still fails to achieve majority resident support, will the council prioritise its duty of care to provide a safe and standard compliant road environment, or is the city's position that mandatory road safety standards are negotiable based on the outcome of a resident petition?
That will be a matter for council to consider when the item is brought forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have a question regarding an item on this evening's agenda? If not, I'll ask the gentleman at the front, please. Mr. Duxbury.
Thank you. If you remember the name, that's well done.
I remember all your emails too.
Thank you. One of the figures in the GHD report was a 57 km/h plus 85 percentile speed on Stone Street. One of the questions we asked was what calming devices had been considered as part of this signalisation, and the answer was for Stone Street, there's already one at the top of the hill. It's a tree island. I can attest to the fact that pick the right driving line there and there's no halting at all. So given that there's 57 km 85 percentile, what are the plans to do something about reducing that speed?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the director.
Through the chair, I mean, we have the LCURS program, so the Low Cost Urban Road Safety Program, that's being applied to the general area and the peninsula area. So there are treatments that will go in there. We're out to tender to get some of those treatments put in, and there's further ones that we're actually considering in some of the other areas. Not necessarily Stone Street, but it's targeting the general area, and the thinking behind that is that through those treatments we'll slow the traffic generally in that area, and the longer term view is to actually reduce the speeds, and we do have a council resolution previously to look at potentially slowing down that area, possibly down to 30 kilometres an hour, maybe 40 kilometres an hour, depending on what sort of traffic results we receive once those treatments are in place. And obviously we need to talk to Main Roads as well, because they are the jurisdiction that approves speed limits on roads.
Let's move my questions. There we go. Right. One of the responses came back stating that Stone Street was a local distributor, and you can see on the plans that it is, but so is Queen Street, by the way. Our traffic through there at the moment is under 3,000, and it is much more in line with an access road than it is with a local distributor. And in fact, a local distributor is not supposed to take traffic from further afield. And yet in the minute of the approval for this thing, it was stated that traffic off the peninsula comes around through there. So my question is, why is this local area acting as a through traffic thing for way over on the peninsula, when they can go up through traffic lights onto 8th and come around Guildford? Now, I know why they don't want to, but why are we encouraging that traffic through our residential area?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the director to respond.
Through the chair, it's probably not necessary that we're encouraging vehicles to go through. There's probably more of a case that the area provides some permeability and allows vehicles to go through that area. I'll probably take that question on notice and provide a more detailed response.
Thank you.
Yep. That's me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else like to ask a question? Please come forward.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. Thank you for allowing me some time to speak this evening. I'll be very brief. My name is Mark Vernon. I'm a ratepayer and resident at number 30B Clark Road in Morley. I'm addressing the council this evening to seek resolution to an outstanding complaint concerning the recently installed speed humps along Clark Road and Dorking Place between Fitzgerald Road and Robinson Road. Following the completion of these works, the road surface has been left in an unacceptable condition where there is extensive black and brown stains along with tyre marks, which appear to have been caused by the contractor during the installation. The resulting visual impact is highly unsatisfactory and has significantly detracted from the street attractiveness and overall appearance of the roads in question. I respectfully submit the following questions. Question 1. Have any of the members of the city's leadership team attended the site have any members of the city's leadership team attended the site alongside the staff responsible for managing this contract to directly assess the condition of the works? If so, what are the observations regarding the standard of the completed work?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Vernon. I'll answer that because just this afternoon, both myself and the Director of Infrastructure, who is the responsible officer, attended the site to visually inspect it. So we were both there today. I understand that the workmanship has led to those marks on the road, and had discussions with the director about is there any remedy that would remove that type of staining and black marks that you're referring to quicker than just the weather, and over time it will fade. And what I might do is refer to the director now so he can explain the options that we considered and why they may or may not be suitable.
So through the chair, so a lot of those markings are superficial. They're on the surface of the existing asphalt. So that's been caused by material spillage, and also the fact that to be able to construct that type of treatment, they had to carry material in there. And when you apply what they call a tack coat, which is what you prepare the underlying surface with before you put the asphalt down, the equipment, when it drives through there, it actually sticks to the wheels and it does spread across the road. It's quite a common problem with asphalt works where you're putting in something that connects to an older road. And what normally happens is that will generally oxidise and wear off through just exposure to the elements. So with sunlight, heat, also with wet weather. So it will eventually wear off because it's only a superficial layer. There are quite a few cases around the city where we've had similar things, and it wears away, and it's quite common across the industry. In that particular case, the best remedy is to actually leave it rather than try to remove it. The problem with removing it is that you can do damage to the underlying pavement, and you'll end up leaving a scar on the road that will be there for a lot longer than what the initial the scuff marks and the bitumen bleed on the road. So what we can do though is that as it's weathering and oxidising, we can increase our sweeping of that road. So we can put a broom, like one of our street sweepers, when it's in the area, we'll run through that area and run over that and give it an extra sweep, more so than what we do with normal roads. So we can hasten that oxidisation and that fading and get it happening a bit quicker. I'd be reluctant to go and do any other treatments such as high pressure cleansing of the pavement, because it will remove the surface of the road and you'll end up having a patch that will stay there for a very long time. The other option would be to go and cut it out and put a new piece of asphalt in there, but you'll have a similar effect where that connects to the next bit of old road. So I know it looks unsightly. I went out there and had a look a couple of times. I have spoken to the team that's involved with the project, and the matter has been raised with the contractor. It probably is a bit more than what we normally have in terms of that type of staining, but it is still quite a common thing that occurs with that type of work.
Madam Mayor, I do have a couple of extra questions, but if I could just leave them aside because the director did cover, but I was wondering if you could just indulge and allow me another minute to speak regarding this matter, and then I'll happy to sit down.
Okay, so normally I wouldn't allow it.
I appreciate
But I
that.
know that this is the first time I've seen you attend a meeting.
Thank you.
So because of that, I will allow it, but just for the record, this is public question time, and so
appreciate
it's
that.
normally just questions.
Maybe I can turn what I'm going to say
Okay.
into a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. One of your staff members was kind enough to send me a list of 22 locations within a kilometre of where I live of some speed humps. Brett Howson, he's been very kind and very approachable. I visited 19 of the 22 locations, and none of them had anywhere near the type of mess that this particular contractor had left. I went further afield and had a look at Leake Street, which was south of Guildford Road. The streetscape there with the slowing of the speed devices there was absolutely beautiful. No sign of this mess whatsoever. I then went to around Nedlands and Applecross and Dalkeith, and I can assure you that the residents there, if they had to deal with this mess, would not sit still. So I'm very disappointed tonight that I feel like it's just going to be dismissed, and that we have had a sweeper out there with water. Brett organised that. There was no difference at all. I feel that the contractor on this occasion, and I did have a talk to the contractor on that day, they were rushed. It was a 40-degree heat. They were about an hour and a half from the parents coming to the school, so they had to get off of the site. The next morning, I'm left with this mess. So I'm disappointed that nothing can be done. But I have seen in Mount Lawley that they have put more of an orange coating further away from these speed humps, and I feel that maybe that could be done and applied to the road to hide this mess, which will not clear. I've had an engineer also in my street talk about it. He said this will take ages to clear.
So is that a question about whether that orange ready coating can
yes,
be
I would
applied
like
to
to ask
further?
that. Yes.
I'll go to the director to respond to that.
Through the chair, I mean, the treatments that were put in were in accordance with what's approved through main roads, so through the low-cost urban road safety program. So there's specific designs that we need to put in. So putting in extra, when you say red treatment, it's probably what you're talking about is extra asphalt being cut out and extended. It wouldn't meet the design criteria that's been approved, but what I can do is actually look at to see whether there's any other possible treatments, whether there's other surfacings that we could do, even a painted type treatment potentially, not necessarily red, but it could be a black or a grey that suits the existing road. So we'll have a look at that, and
Okay.
and I'll be in touch and we can talk about it further.
Wonderful. Madam Mayor, thank you so much. I appreciate you listening to me. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else have a question they'd like to ask? Mr. Tonkin?
Harvey Tonkin, Naranda. It's to do with the questions I asked at the last meeting. I just wanted to get an update on the Bayswater Waves tile cleaning.
I'll go to the
Please.
CEO.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I can provide Mr Tonkin an initial update, and maybe one of the directors can add on to that. We've had a number of site meetings down there, Mr Tonkin, where we've actually increased the cleaning regime. We've done a comprehensive inspection. We've increased the cleaning hours there as well and undertaken a deep clean, which my understanding is that we'll try and do that on a weekly basis, so the whole floor area gets cleaned. We've also been in discussion with Beatty Park and the operators there because they have similar tiles as what we do at Bayswater Waves, and the staff are talking to them in relation to the cleaning regimes that they're using down there. And we're also installing additional mats in the area because there's multiple entry points into Bayswater Waves from the garden areas, the outside and everything, to try and collect some of the dirt in there. And the lifeguards are actually monitoring all of the food consumption and drink around the pool concourse area as well in an attempt to try and get on top of that.
Okay, that's good. I asked the second question to do with the Wi-Fi. I got a response. It wasn't satisfactory, but I did write another question that I emailed in last Thursday. Now, I sent one to Mail and I sent one to Olivia, and she was going to forward it on, but I couldn't see a response. It's not a major issue, but it's just the question wasn't answered.
The CEO will look into that tomorrow and get back to you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have a question?
I have a question that's not on the agenda because it's not on the agenda. It's a question relating to the live stream that wasn't working at last agenda briefing forum and at the special council meeting. So just wondering if that's been fixed.
Thank you for your question. Just acknowledge former Councillor Georgia Johnson here. I'll go to the Manager of Governance.
Through the chair, what we do for council meetings is we have a couple of checks that are in place before every council meeting to try and make sure the live stream is working. So we work with our digital solutions team to do one at 3 p.m. and then we do another one at 6 p.m. just before the meeting to check everything through. Unfortunately, sometimes errors still happen, and we do acknowledge that with the last meeting and the meeting prior, we did have some issues. So with those, we actually have backup recordings, and we've uploaded those as soon as possible to try and rectify it. Since then, we've actually been working with our provider to reduce the risk of it happening again, and we've added in some further checks after the council meetings actually started. So we're hoping that that will alleviate the issue and there won't be any further problems.
Thank you very much. My second question is to North Ward and Central Ward councillors, and I was just asking if you could please be mindful of your language talking about people that make deputations or presentations to council, whether in person or online. I've heard some comments about the silent majority, and I probably just want to remind you that they also don't vote.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions? If not, I'll close public question time. We'll now move on to item 7, confirmation of minutes. So 7.1 is the ordinary council meeting. We'll now move to have a mover and seconder for the confirmation of minutes for the ordinary council meeting of the 24th of March 2026. Move Councillor McDonald, seconded Councillor Latta. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Item 7.2, special council meeting. We'll now move to confirmation for the special council meeting on Tuesday, the 14th of April 2026, in accordance with the addendum published on Friday. Do I have a mover and seconder? Moved Deputy Mayor, seconded Councillor McDonald. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Item 8 is presentations, and we'll begin with petitions. Do councillors have any petition to table? Councillor McDonald.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I have 2 to lodge. The first one is around Rocher Place and Gilbert Street cul-de-sac. This is from Aaron Glasborn. As a resident of Goldmead Street, I'm extremely concerned about the city's planned proposal to create a cul-de-sac at Rocher and Gilbert. Traffic in the area has increased significantly in the past 10 years due to increased high-density living and school-related traffic. With the intersection at Rocher and Derby, plus the hill on Goldmead Street, significant amounts of traffic now come through Goldmead at high speeds, and this cul-de-sac will further increase that traffic. There's 32 signatures, and I'll lodge that with you.
Okay, so we'll do this first.
Yep,
You'd like to move that be tabled?
Please, yep.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Latta. And I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous and that will be tabled.
Thank you. And the second one is opposition to proposed signalised crossing for Stone, Fitton Street and Garrett Road intersection. So this is from Matthew Morgan and there's 57 signatures. The City of Bayswater has recently passed a motion 10.3 at the 28th of October 25 for the signalised crossing. These minutes state that there's expected to attract some traffic from the surrounding areas on Stone, Queen, Trail Inn and Percy. This motion will not just reduce potential property prices, it will also make our streets less vibrant and more unsafe. We're not against improving the Stone and Garrett intersection. However, rat running drivers will have extra incentive to bypass these on Garrett Stone and Garrett Guildford by using Trail Inn Road, Queen, Percy and Stone. And it will be exacerbated when car drivers receive a red signal for Garrett and Guildford Road. These residential streets also form part of the Maylands Peninsula Primary School Zone and Safe Routes to School program. Therefore, we demand restricted movement, traffic calming devices to prevent cars from using Trail Inn Road, Queen Street, Percy Road and Stone Street as a bypass to the signalised crossing on Guildford and Garrett.
Thank you. So you're moving that. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Black. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. So that'll be tabled. Anyone else have a petition to table?
Yes.
Councillor Pittaway.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a petition from Amanda Bapat. There's 15 signatures of a petition for drinking fountains along shared paths. This proposal aims to improve safety and accessibility along the shared bike and pedestrian path by installing public drinking fountains at key locations. Currently, there is no access to drinking water along a stretch of approximately 5 kilometres. This creates risks for cyclists, runners and pedestrians, particularly in hot weather. The proposal includes installing drinking fountains at Elfrida Avenue, in Noranda, Lightning Swamp Bushland Park area, near the bridge along the path. In addition, we propose adding further drinking fountains at regular intervals of approximately every 1 to 2 kilometres, subject to council planning and budget. This initiative will improve safety by reducing the risk of dehydration, support active transport such as walking and cycling, make the path more accessible and user-friendly for all people. This is a simple, practical improvement that will benefit the entire community, so I ask that to be moved. Tabled.
Thank you. So moved, Councillor Pittaway. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Ladder. All those in favour? That is unanimous. So that is tabled. We just need.
Oh.
You got to bring it. You have to table it. Okay, so I think that's all the petitions. There are no presentations this evening and deputations were heard at last week's agenda briefing forum and there are no delegates' reports this evening. Item 9, method of dealing with agenda business. So this evening, Councillor Loiacono is pulling first. So do you have anything you'd like to pull? No? Councillor McDonald, Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 10.3.5 Hillcrest Reserve Facility Needs Assessment. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor?
No, thank you.
Councillor Ladder?
10.4.1, please.
Councillor Pittaway? Councillor Ossowski?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay, so we'll now move to consideration of the reports in section 10. Can I please have a mover and seconder to bring forward item 10.3.5, which was the subject of a deputation? Moved Deputy Mayor, seconded Councillor Black. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Okay, so 10.3.5 is Hillcrest Reserve Facility Needs Assessment. Councillor Black, you've pulled this. Are you moving the officer's recommendation?
I am, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Do I have a seconder? Deputy Mayor, Councillor Black.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm pleased to support this this motion for us tonight, and it's great to see a lot of clubs supporting this as well as through our deputations process last week as well. I think what's being presented to Council is an appropriate approach, especially when we consider a staged approach as well. It is a lot of work that is being proposed down at Hillcrest Reserve, but I think if we do look at that stage approach, I think that would be a more appropriate way, especially when dealing with a lot of our asset management and the like. When we look at what we could prioritise down there as well, I do believe lighting down there is something that is a high need down there from the clubs. We do talk a lot about utilisation percentage, about our public assets and in particular our reserves. In winter, when it comes to clubs training down there, it does get a bit difficult with the sun setting, and Lower Hillcrest in particular, without having appropriate lighting, does restrict that usage of that reserve. So I think having those lighting improvements prioritised as part of this process, I think would be a fantastic approach. I did ask a question last week in regards to fences and public access. I know a lot of residents in the city do have those concerns around when we do improve reserves around the area. And I'm glad to see that although there is a 1.2 metre fence sited on the western side of the current option 2 plan, that doesn't mean that public access is restricted outside of the booked times for sport as well. I know that that park, that reserve in particular, is very popular among dog walkers in that area, and is a heavily visited reserve for them. In terms of going forward from here, I believe that engaging stakeholders, as we always do, is a great approach, especially the clubs there and the park users and the general community around the area, but also the other users down there. And while I don't want to list them all, and I'm sure the processes will be followed by the city, one in particular that does use that reserve in that area there is Amos from the Coffee Van in particular. So having a think about what those other users, what input they might have as part of this facility needs assessment as well, and how we move forward with that. And in regards to funding as well, I think the officers' report there states state and federal options for grant funding. I think that's a fantastic approach. And in addition, when we look at that stage approach as well, what we can look at in terms of what is available from state and feds. I know that community sport is high on the agenda for both governments, and in particular increasing participation for women's sport, but also for lighting. So again, that utilisation is improved for the reserve as well. It's great to see this come to council. I truly support seeing these facilities upgraded and seeing these serve the community for a longer period. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. Yeah, I also support the officer's recommendation. The facilities, they are old and do require an upgrade. We have 5-6 sporting clubs there that do use it on a daily basis, and I think they do deserve that those facilities will be upgraded and improved. And I also know that the club supported option 2, so I will also support that option. I also wanted to note a request of mine. I also noted it in one of the workshops that we had on this issue. Some of the feedback that residents mentioned as part of the survey were about very minor improvements to the reserve when it comes to more benches, bins, etc. I don't think that those issues should wait the long term until we find the funding. So my suggestion to the city is that we will find that feedback and we will try to address them quickly without waiting for the full review. That is my view. You know, adding a bin, we don't need to wait 5 years until we get the funding. Thank you.
Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Sadowski.
Thank you. I have a question, if I can, please. Well, actually, a bit of a comment first. I noted in the report that basketball is one of the areas that's starting to see an increase in participation for children in particular, and the basketball component at this reserve hasn't been included in the assessment. A ratepayer has reached out to me regarding the lack of a basketball facility of some sort being included at this reserve, and has asked how a petition from the basketball community could be considered or could be handed through council to request that be considered as part of this assessment. So how, if a petition was to come forward asking for some type of basketball infrastructure, small basketball infrastructure to be placed at the reserve, how does that fit into this? Is this the last bite of the cherry? Is there another bite that we have later to consider that as an option? So yeah, just asking a question on behalf of a ratepayer. If a petition was to come through, how does that fit in if this gets approved by council tonight?
Thank you. I'll go to the director to respond.
Through the chair, so there is a court mentioned in option 3, but the recommendation is to adopt option 2, which doesn't consist of a court in there. Council has the option to put a court on the site, bring it into option 2 if they wish to do so. That can happen at any stage in the future when we start embarking on any development of the project going forward. So at this point in time, it's just adopting an option that was presented as part of this plan. But like I said, council can at any time bring forward or change those options in there, or the components of those options. So the courts could be brought forward into option 2 if council wishes to do so.
Thank you. Another question. So if a petition is brought forward, council accepts the petition, does a report come to council about that?
Yes.
And then council would have that opportunity to then decide if that is included?
Yes.
Great. Thank you very much.
Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? If not, I'll go the mover to close.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I'd like to thank the councillors for their opportunity to contribute to the debate as well. I'd just hopefully like to see maybe some basketball courts down there one day if Councillor Osowski is successful with his petition and the residents, and maybe we can have a slam dunk competition down there one day. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll now put it to the vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous. So that concludes the items that were subject to deputations, and we'll now move to consideration of the reports in section 10 that have been withdrawn by councillors. But we do have to start with 10.1.1, which is the dog amendment local law. Nobody's pulled this, but it requires a vote. So can I have a mover and a seconder? Move Councillor Loiacono, seconded Councillor Black. Councillor Loiacono, anything? Councillor Black, anything? Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? That is, I'm just checking if I have to do it separately. Just after. Okay, so the vote's okay. So that is unanimous, but I will now read out the purpose and effect of the City of Bayswater Dogs Amendment Local Law 2025. The purpose of the Dogs Amendment Local Law 2025 is to amend the City of Bayswater Dogs Local Law 2016. The effect of the Dogs Amendment Local Law 2025 is to remove Part 2 relating to the impounding of dogs, include a modified penalty for failing to provide effective means to contain a dog, include a new clause, 2.3, direction to provide a suitable enclosure, and prescribe a modified penalty for failure to comply with such a direction, increase the value of specified modified penalties for offences under the local law, and update terminology and references in accordance with the Dog Act 1976. Okay, the next item is 10.2.1, financial report for the period ended the 31st of March 2026. This requires an absolute majority for LIM 2. So can I please get a mover and a seconder? Move Deputy Mayor, seconded Councillor McDonald. Deputy Mayor, anything? Councillor McDonald, anyone wish to speak on this? I'll put it straight to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. The next item that's been pulled is 10.4.1, amalgamation of the City of Bayswater and Town of Bassendean Local Emergency Management Committee. Councillor Latta, you've pulled this. Are you moving your amendment?
Yes.
So it's the officer's recommendation with an additional limb.
Correct.
Councillors, you've all been provided this in advance. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Pittaway. Councillor Latta, go ahead.
Thank you. So the additional limb is really just to clarify that that there are still more steps that need to be achieved before this actually happens, and that if any of those steps don't happen, things carry on as they are right now. I chair the Local Emergency Management Committee, and I did last term as well. I think it's such an excellent committee. We have really great attendance at the City of Bayswater from emergency services people, plus our community members, and so does the town of Bassendean. We work together closely on joint exercises, and in reality, if we were to deal with an emergency, we would probably work together. We have the same hazard profile as each other. Notwithstanding that, there are some complications of amalgamation. We have a committee of 17 or 18 people, and so do they. So when you amalgamate, you have to work out what the arrangements are, who will continue to sit on it. So there's still work that the committee or the joint working group will have to work out in terms of what's a functional arrangement for the two committees to come together. But I think it's really worthwhile exploring. I think there's opportunities for savings and opportunities for streamlining our emergency preparedness and response by working more closely with Bassendean on that. So I think it's a good thing, but it's not the end of the line just yet.
Thank you. Councillor Pittaway?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I support what Councillor Ladder just said there. I'm also on the committee, and when we put it to the rest of the committee, they were very much in support of exploring this avenue. It could make a lot of sense, obviously, for these committees to come together, but as Councillor Ladder just pointed out, there is a lot of work to do there. But I think it's a good start, and I think it's worth exploring. So I support that motion too.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. So we'll now move to adopt the remaining items in section 10 on block. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Move Councillor Ladder, seconded Councillor Loiacono. All those in favour? That is unanimous. So just for those in the gallery, that means that the other items that haven't been discussed, they've been adopted as per the officer's recommendation. So we'll now move to item 11, which is notices of motion. There are none this evening. Item 12 is questions from members without notice. Anyone? No? Okay. Item 13, new business of an urgent nature. There is none. And there are no confidential items this evening under section 14 either. So councillors, I will close this meeting at 7:43 p.m. Thank you.